across a profession that is clearly dominated by a certain gender, I have a tendency to search for those in the minority, whether that is men or women. Flipping through my art history book chapter on the 17th century, I searched for the female artists and discovered that they were quite rare during that time period. Today I want to tell you about the female Baroque painter Artemisia Gentileschi. Perhaps some of you recognize the names Caravaggio, Vermeer, and Rembrandt, but hardly anyone will recognize the name Artemisia, and I don't blame you. Through art history, which I'm taking at SCC, I came across Artemisia and wrote a research paper about her life and art. Today, I first want to tell you about the two main difficulties Artemisia faced as a young adult. Second, I want to tell you about a few of her paintings, and lastly, I want to discuss her accomplishments. To begin with, Artemisia faced two major difficulties as a young adult. Artemisia was born in Rome in 1593 to Orazio Gentileschi, who was also a painter, and Prudentia Montori, who died when Artemisia was only 12. At age 18, Artemisia was sexually assaulted by a man named Agostino Tassi, whom her father had hired to teach his daughter perspective in painting, despite the fact that the man had a very shady character. According to Ildiko Mohaxi, who's the author of the article Artemisia and Her World, Tassi had an affair with his 14-year-old cousin and also paid to have his own wife murdered. Nearly a year after the assault, Orazio took Tassi to court, and the Gentileschis won after 7 months in trial. Now that I have told you about the two main difficulties Artemisia faced as a young adult, let's move on to some of her paintings, which mainly featured female protagonists. Perhaps one of Artemisia's most famous works would be Susanna and the Elders. She painted this event 3 different times, one in 1610, when she was only 17, the other in 1622, and the last in 1649. The biblical story of Susanna goes that she is the wife of a wealthy Jewish man. One day she is out in her garden, and 2 elders come and accost her, demanding her sexual submission. Susanna refuses, and the elders spread a nasty rumor around town, to quote Mary Gard, author of Artemisia Gentileschi, that Susanna had an adulterous relationship with a young man. Another of Artemisia's famous works would be her retelling of Judith's story. According to Ruth Ashby and Deborah Gore Orn, authors of her story, Judith was a Hebrew widow who beheaded her enemy Holofernes in order to save her own city. Artemisia painted this event several different times as well, but today I want to show you the painting Judith and Her Maidservant with the head of Holofernes, painted in 1625. They have just finished the act of beheading and are about to leave. The color that Judith is wearing is called Artemisia Gold, and it shows up in a lot of Artemisia's paintings. In this, Artemisia has painted Judith's maid as young, and she's having a significant role in the painting as she is helping her mistress. In comparison, both Caravaggio and Orazio also painted this event, but they depicted the maid as old and not having a significant role. So far, I have talked about the difficult life Artemisia had as a young adult, and I've showed you some of her paintings. Finally, I want to talk about her accomplishments as a female Baroque painter. Artemisia was the sole woman follower of painter Caravaggio. She incorporated his style into her painting with the use of tenebrism. According to Marilyn Stockstead and Michael Cothern, authors of his art history, tenebrism is a technique used by painters to make figures emerge from a dark background into a brighter light source. Artemisia was also the first woman artist to be invited to join the Academy of Design in Florence, Italy. She was only 23 years old at the time, and Florence had not had any prominent female artists before her. Artemisia was also apparently very fond of Naples, as some of her most prolific artwork was brought from there, and also she spent much of her life there. According to the Times Concise Atlas of World History, edited by Geoffrey Barraclough, in 1500 there were 4 major cities in the entire world that had over 100,000 inhabitants. They were Naples, Paris, Milan, and Venice. So clearly, Naples was a good place to be for an artist. Because also, with lots of people, there were more buyers and commissions for an artist. Artemisia died around 1653 in Naples. In conclusion, Artemisia had a rough life as a young adult. Her paintings mainly featured female heroines, and she was also a successful female artist. Amidst all of the male painters that I came across, Artemisia was a hidden gem to me. I hope that one day her name and art, as well as other female painters, will become more recognizable and receive the attention they deserve. Are there any questions?
Is that going to be your subject when I forgot history?
I am not actually majoring in art history. I'm just taking it as a class, but I just found her really interesting. So, yeah.
Did you say that that was the only female artist you could come across at that time?
There was one other prominent female artist at that time. I don't remember her name, but a lot of female artists during that time would paint still lifes or self-portraits. So it was uncommon that Artemisia would paint biblical stories instead. Thank you.